up, guys? It's Jahia, and welcome back to Let's Have This Hard Conversation podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about you winning at the game of life. Now, a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that we're in a game, and so there are a lot of things being put against you, depending on your color, your race, your gender. There are a lot of odds and a lot of things that are being put into place in order to keep you down, to keep you stuck, to keep you confused, and to keep you in a constant poverty mindset. And so what we're going to do, we're going to talk about every single thing that I've experienced in my childhood. Maybe you can relate to this, maybe you cannot, but I want you to understand all of the things that kind of played a big part in how I perceive myself and how I perceive the world. Now, I grew up from a big home. Of course, I came from a whole lineage of Black people, right? A lot of people think that I'm mixed, but that is not the case because I am not. So I grew up with both my mom and my father in the home. They were married, they're still married. And I grew up with a lot of siblings. So I have 8 siblings, okay? I have 5 brothers, I have 2 sisters, there's 8 of us total. And so I grew up in a home, and so the perception or the main thing that was instilled in us was money, income, okay? Why was income a big thing? It's because my mom, she really instilled income because obviously she had 8 kids, okay? Having 8 children in a home, so it was 10 of us in a household. The basis of our problems was financial, okay? Every child needs to eat. Every child wants something. You know, there were cars, vehicles. So understanding that money was very important because it was the basis of our problems. Most of the problems was financial, okay? Can we afford this? Can we afford this? Can we afford X, Y, and Z? Right? So the basis of the problems were financial problems. It wasn't, it was financial, right? So if you're coming from a home of poverty, and we were comfortable, mind y'all, we were comfortable. But if you're coming from a place of poverty, you have to understand why you're that way or why your family dynamic was that way. Same thing goes for my mom. She came from a family where her parents was married, but her dad died. And so she had a single mom for a long time. Same thing goes for my dad. My dad, it's not the same thing, but my dad, he had a very interesting dynamic as well. And so you start to look at the lineage, you start to look at the history of the bloodline, and you start to really understand, was poverty a big problem within the bloodline? I tell people to look at that, like look at the history of finances. What was the core? Was there an issue? Was there a problem when it came to finances? Because that will ultimately help you understand a lot of things. But like I said, first, I understood that money was very important. Money was super duper important, okay? My mom didn't really instill, she didn't really instill color, right? That color is the pro-Black stuff. My parents wasn't even like that. They didn't instill that much regarding like pro-Black, you have a disadvantage because you're Black. All of those things. They never really instilled those type of things into me. I didn't realize that until I really stepped out into the world and got a chance to experience life by myself and realized that, number one, me being a woman was a disadvantage. Me being Black was a disadvantage as well, because people don't like women. They think women are weak, and people don't like Black people because they think they're incompetent or they're not hard workers. It's a whole stigma, right? And so to understand who the enemy is, and what I tell people is like, you have to understand who your enemy is in order to get out of a constant cycle, okay? You have to understand and comprehend certain perceptions and why a person would do something. So that takes like a lot of critical thinking and really like try and analyze a situation, analyze mindsets, and a little bit of psychology. You got to really like think about it, because you're like, why would they do that? Why would they move this way? You got to really understand a little bit of psychology. And I'm not telling you to go to school, but for it. But I'm telling you, you got to start thinking about mindsets and why people do the things that they do to keep a certain group of people down, right? So understanding that we're in a world, you have a disadvantage. And so in order for you to get out of this, you have to, number one, have faith. Have God at the forefront of everything. A lot of people don't believe in God, but I'm here to tell you that it's real and true. There are a lot of conspiracies, theories, whatever you want to call it, that you can kind of test if you are a person who don't believe. But you have to really like understand that in order to know that this is a game, you have to know that everybody's playing their part in the game. Okay, it's a whole game system, and you have to ask yourself, what character do you want to be, and what life do you want to live in regarding the game. So if you've ever played Minecraft, if you've ever played Call of Duty, right, you are the character. You can make things happen for yourself if you want to, but you have to understand, number one, who your enemy is and what authority you have. Okay, understanding what type of authority you have. What can you do? Why can you do it? What is the purpose of doing this? And you have to think strategically. Just because you came from poverty don't mean you have to stay in poverty. So the first lie that they tell people is that you should make kids and have a baby and have a home and all these things. No matter if you're a man or a woman, that should not be the basis for you, especially if you come from poverty. If you're not a trust fund kid, if your family isn't coming from wealth, you should not be so quick to have children. Because here's the thing, children are not a good investment. Children are not the best investment. And if you're talking about finances, if you're talking about things that make sense, a child wouldn't be a good investment if you have no money, if you're in poverty. Why would you have a child when you have no funds? Doesn't make sense, right? And so the tale that they tell you when you're a young adult is that to have kids, when you're a child, is to have kids, your knight in shining armor is going to come and sweep you off your feet, which really makes it a high expectation for both parties, the woman and the man, to have this high expectation that is not realistic because y'all don't have money. People don't like talking about money, but if you're broke, you can't do nothing because you don't have money. So the basis of everybody's problem is financial. The only way to get to a higher financial bracket is to play the game. And so to play the game means you have to put the part on, you have to put the clothes on, you have to present yourself in a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, which is very interesting. For men and women, it's two different things. For a woman, you might have to present yourself a little bit more feminine in order to get in certain doors because men are attracted to women. People love to be around a pretty girl, period. For men, you might have to, go to college and do all of this extra stuff. I don't know what a man has to do, but you might have to do a lot of things in order to create this status, in order to get in certain rooms. You might have to have a little bit of charisma. You might have to have some type of style. You might have to have accolades, maybe a rollie on your wrist, in order for people to know that you come from a position of wealth. Because people do judge you based off your appearance. Not only that, they judge you based off your off of what accolades you have, especially as a man. Not so much as women. People do ask you about your history a lot. I don't know if anybody else gets this, but people ask me about my past a lot. They ask me what school I went to. They automatically assume I come from a very wealthy family. Why do they believe that? It's because the way that I'm presenting myself and the way that I'm acting. People want to be connected to somebody who has something. And so understanding that your appearance is the basis of how you're going to get to the level of success, that you understand you would take care of yourself a little bit more if you knew that your look is literally the access to doors where you're going to get more income. Okay? That is the access right there. The way you look, the way you present yourself is ultimately a door that is going to allow you to have wealth. Okay? Then it comes into knowledge, educating yourself, becoming hyper interested in things outside of yourself so that you could present a certain mental value. I think sometimes people think that you need to have accolades, you need to have all these things. No, you just need to have the ability to have a mental value. You have to have something that people can't take away, okay? Because if you can lose everything, but if you have mental knowledge or something that nobody else knows or nobody else thinks of, maybe you have this sense of ambition, maybe you have a hopeful mind, I don't know, people are more keen to keeping you around and having you leave, because it's not a physical thing that can be obtained. It's something that's totally different. Maybe you have a bright spirit. I don't know. Okay. Now, I'm going to show y'all the book that I've been reading. Okay, this is the book I just purchased. This book right here that I just purchased is The South of the New Nation, 1789 through 1896. It's an LSU book. LSU book. This is from LSU State University. This is back in the 1700s. It's about the South of the New Nations. It's basically about the South. Okay, if you're from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, you know, if you're from any of the southern states, this is a book that you might want to read just to really understand and comprehend anything. You could read any goddamn book. You don't have to read this book, but to understand, you just need to educate yourself mentally. Educate yourself on certain topics, educate yourself, and read. And I think what's so important is like reading opens up comprehension. Like when you read, it allows you to be more, it allows you to understand things more. You can read any book. You can read romantic books. I'm just really right now into big history and like a lot of history and conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories. I actually just bought a conspiracy theory book, and it's so good because it really, I ain't gonna lie, conspiracies is just so fun. It's so fun to think about. It's so fun to talk about. But any world history book, any educating book where there's conspiracy theories or there's things that I've never known, I'm so interested in that. So we're reading about this because I am from the South. My parents are from the South. My dad is from Mississippi. My mom's family is from Mississippi. My mom, she's from Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. It's just only right for you to educate yourself about the South because you're from the South. Hello. Right? So understanding that, and then understanding that nothing comes to those who wait. And if you wait for things to happen, nothing's never going to happen. You got to be a mover. You have to be a doer. You have to make things happen. You have to do things. You have to be determined, right? Your work ethic has to go crazy, and you have to want it as bad as you want to breathe, okay? I think Eric Thomas said it the best. You got to want it as bad as you want to breathe. He's not lying. You have to believe that you can have it, and then you have to have faith that it's going to happen, and then you have to do everything in your power to make sure that it happens for you because nobody's going to make it happen. I could talk about this all day, but we're already 13 minutes in. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure y'all subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think in the comments if y'all agree. If not, I was a little bit all over the place. We was rambling a little bit because I never keep a note. I'm always just coming straight from the dome. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And you got us out. Thanks for watching the pod.